Hello everyone and welcome to the Ask Barry V Show. I'm Barry Vanover and this is Mr. Miles Baker. Hey guys, before we get the show started, we've got some good questions for you today, but before we get started, I want to give a plug. Now, I'm all about plugging things for people that the product is good and the people that I love. And I love this guy. I love Carl PrePaid, and the Silver Fox himself has come out with a new book, and it's Fluid BJJ, and I love the subtitle, Scrawny Middle-Aged Guy's Guide to Getting Submissions. And in this book, the Silver Fox gives us finishing details on a lot of the common moves of BJJ that are invaluable. And then he goes on in the last part of the book to talk about water training, fluid water training to help your submissions and all the benefits of that. So very, very awesome book. I highly recommend that you get this on Amazon today if you're a BJJ stylist and add it to your library. I'll try to leave it right there. Is that going to work so you guys can see it? Also, we'll put it up on the screen for you. So shout out to a great hard work, great book by Carl PrePaid, The Silver Fox. All right, are we ready to get started today?
We are ready. All right, we've got some good questions this week. First one is about prepaid memberships. David H. had asked, I hear different opinions about selling prepaid memberships. What is your opinion?
You know, prepaid memberships, back along, several years ago, you're talking go back 20 years, the big billing companies that were the billing companies and really the consulting companies for martial arts schools back in the day, they made their money off billing tuition for martial arts schools and still do today. So they take 10% of all the money that you bring in through their company. And naturally, if you start taking a lot of prepaid memberships, that decreases the accounts receivables, decreases your billing check, and decreases the amount of money that the billing company made, right? So they would have these sayings like, don't take money for services that have not been rendered, right? But that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Here's the truth. You can take as many prepaid memberships as you want, and honestly, you should take as many prepaid memberships as you can because, when it comes to money, get as much of it as fast as you can, because you never know if you're going to have that opportunity. How do you know when that family comes in and they would be willing to pay a black belt training program in full? How do you know that they're not going to quit in 3 months? And that's monies that you would have never seen. The problem with taking prepaid memberships for most school owners is what they do with the monies once they get it. They don't put that money in the bank and save it for bad times. Now, naturally, the more prepaid memberships you take, the less your monthly accounts receivables will be on your memberships. So if you spend every penny you get of your prepaid memberships and you don't save it, then you may have a month where signups are low and an owner could put themselves in a situation where they would be in a deficit and they didn't have any savings to make up for it. So imagine that you did this. Imagine that you did your own billing, right? And you had your own software, Studio Pro plug, by the way. You need to check that out, okay? And then every time you get a prepaid membership, you simply put that money in a separate account. Every month, you run a report on payments that would have come in, prepaid memberships, how many you've got, and you take a payment from every prepaid membership and you pull it from that savings account into your operating account. In that instance, what you're doing is you're acting like your own billing company, and you have the discipline not to spend it and only take it out when services have been rendered, but yet you've got the money in the bank collecting interest instead of the billing company collecting interest, right? So it's really more about discipline when it comes to prepaid memberships. So I would be taking as many prepaid memberships as you possibly can and then being disciplined about how you move those prepaid memberships from a savings account to your operating account as those payments. Imagine that what wasn't prepaid, and every month you take out one payment from every prepaid membership that you have and you're putting it in your operating account. That's what I would do, okay?
It's all about discipline.
Absolutely.
Take the prepaids and make sure you're disciplined. Okay, very nice. Our next question for this week comes from John M. Ask, how do you know when it's time to let a staff member go?
Wow, that's a tough one.
It's
but
complicated.
We get this all the time. The questions we get from school owners is usually about two things. It's about staff problems. I can't find staff. I'm not training staff. I've got problems with this staff member. or it's about marketing, not being able to get enough people in the door. Those are the two things. Now, usually an owner doesn't realize, they don't know what they don't know. There's a bunch of other things they need to be working on, but those two things are always fresh on their mind. What we find when we're talking to school owners about staff problems is a lot of times the owner lets the staff member down, right? The owner never sets the staff member up for any type of real success. Mm-hmm. So first thing I would do if I would be talking to the staff members, let's ask some questions first to see, is the problems you're having with your staff member, is it your fault or is it the staff member's fault? So let's determine that by asking the questions like, one, Mr. Owner, have you really well trained that staff member? Have you set them up for success by coming up with an exact job description for that position and training in every aspect of that position as an instructor, as a program director, as an office administrator? So have you trained them really well? Have you set goals for their position, which is that job description, and then the outcome? Have you set goals of, this is what I want you to be able to bring to my business? This is actual real statistical numbers you have to hit. These are the hours you have to work. These are the tasks you have to do 100% of the time. So have you set goals for that position? And can you track those goals? Which means, are you tracking their progress? Have you set up systems of accountability, right? Which is kind of tracking the process and the progress through statistics. Have you set up systems of accountability to where it's easily to see for you and the staff member whether they're doing their job or not, right? Or are basically you putting the staff member, you train them real quick, and what you think is good staff training, you throw them out there and you hope that your business grows. You hope your classes are awesome, but you have no way of telling whether those classes have gotten any better. You have no way of telling whether the marketing has increased or whether the income has increased or whether they're really bringing true value. All you then notice when you do that, all you then notice is what the staff member does wrong or what they failed to do, right? Instead of being able to really hold them accountable and track their true progress. And then I would also ask, the owner should ask themselves, do you have a method to provide continuing training and retraining? So if you're holding them accountable on statistics and you're holding them accountable on their results, when they're having problems and you're noticing a problem in a certain area, are you providing retraining for them for a period of time? Do you have consistent staff meetings? You know, on our live Facebook Live, we we talked about our staff meetings and how we run and operate those throughout the week. Are you having consistent staff meetings to help, again, retrain your staff, hold them accountable, keep them focused on task at hand? If you're doing those four things, then you just simply ask the next question and it'll tell you whether or not to let them go. So if you've trained them well, if you've set goals for their progress, if you hold them accountable, if you provide retraining and continual training, then you just ask, does that staff member consistently obtain their goals and meet your expectations? If they do, great. You've got an awesome staff member. I'm guessing whoever asked this question, their staff member's not meeting their expectations. But before you fire them, are you doing those four things? And then if you are doing those four things and you're okay, I'll do all that. I work with these people and they're still not hitting their goals, time to get rid of them and bring somebody in that will hit your goals, take your business to the next level, as long as you're setting them up for success.
And as you were saying, accountability and having systems to track that accountability, I think that without those systems and to track their accountability, it leaves an owner making a decision based on feeling.
Right.
So we'll talk to owners that, well, I have this staff member, they're in charge of sales, they haven't done very well, they've only signed up this amount, but there is no really tracking. So they kind of feel like my staff member's not doing a good job, but they don't really know. And basing business decisions on feelings is always a bad thing, right?
Absolutely.
So really,
well, an owner gets his instructor, brings him in. Maybe he hired the instructor from his classroom floor, so he knows the guy knows the curriculum.
Right.
but he never does any real instructor training. So therefore, and he doesn't keep statistics to know. He noticed that the number of students is dropping. But he's never looked at his attrition, retention numbers, has never paid attention of where the dropout is occurring. Is it occurring to 5 to 7 year olds? Is it occurring to 8 to 12 year olds who are teaching those classes? And he doesn't have any systems to make sure those classes are awesome and exciting, right? By the way, if I'm going to do a quick commercial, if you want amazing instructor training, bring your instructors to the Maya Super Show in Las Vegas, July 5th through the 7th, and have them do our Instructor Performance College. In 2 days, I'll send you back an amazing instructor with a manual of, doesn't worry about what curriculum you teach, is going to be able to have a huge impact with fun, excitement, and organization and energy to your classroom floor. Okay.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because you and I were just texting the other night about how I have a young staff member and he's just killing it on the classroom floor.
Absolutely.
And he's young. He's 20 years old, but he's light years ahead of a lot of instructors from the Instructor Performance College, and going through that not only once but a couple of times. So absolutely, I would send any staff member there for sure. That
will be worth, I don't even know what they're charging for it, but I think it's, let's say it's around $300, $295 or something. That'd be the best $300 you ever spent. And owners yourself, honestly, you should be in that. So that you, again, it's that level of accountability. You got to know everything your staff members know or supposed to know, so you can hold them accountable. So I would love to see a lot of the owners in there with their staff members doing this as a team event. You know, let your instructors, if it's expensive, you know, they've got cheap rates at the newly remodeled MGM Hotel, $89 a night, pile 5-6 people in there, whatever, right? But the point is, whatever the expense is to get your instructors and yourself there, let your instructors do a fundraiser. We're doing that at our own school, letting them do a sleepover. We're letting them do an inter-school tournament. We're letting them do some things that they can tell the parents, hey, I'm raising money so I can go to an instructor college, right? So that offset a lot of that cost, you know?
Oh, very good. All right, so on to our next question, which I love because I know how you feel about this whole situation. Greg M. asks, I'm a school owner. Should my business belong to the Better Business Bureau?
Better Business Bureau, to me, honestly, is a scam. Because you've got a not even a government organization here that basically has carved a niche for themselves, that we're going to give a platform to people to complain about a business. Now, if that business owner pays us a yearly fee, we'll handle that situation differently and delicately to make sure it gets taken care of and there's no blemishes.
That sounds crazy.
Right, on the Better Business Bureau, your Better Business Bureau record. If you're not a member, they're not going to handle it, or they're not going to help with it at all, and you're going to end up, if you don't respond especially, you're going to end up with a bad mark. So therefore, some people, you know, they'll look, oh, let me see if this reputable school, the Better Business Bureau, right? Oh, they've got 5 or 6 bad marks. Oh no, I don't want to go there, right? But if you'd have been a member, there would have probably been no marks, because they'll take, you know, they'll help negotiate it and take care of it. So is it a scam? Is it extortion? Whatever, right? Bottom line though is our schools are all partners of the Better Business Bureau, because even though it just seems weird, right? But still it's worth it, because, you know, have I had a parent go, oh, we're going to report you to the Better Business Bureau? And I'm like pointing to the sign at the door, man, we're a member of the Better Business Bureau. You know, I think having that sign they give you by the front door or the exit is powerful. Plus, truly, if people are going to go and complain to the Better Business Bureau sometimes, especially about trying to get out of a membership, right? Which is their fault to begin with. By being a member, they're going to take care of that and help you get through that to where there's not going to be any marks. So as bad as it kind of is, it's still probably worth doing. What is it, like $300 a year or something? You know, so I think that's pretty good money spent for handling certain situations.
All right, last question for the week is from Darren H. This is a big question. He asked, how much do you think it costs to open a new martial arts school?
Okay, that's a tough question, because there's Darren, there's just too many variables in place there. Okay, so what I would suggest you do is, one, create a business plan with an opening budget. And Darren, if you email me, I'll send you a copy of a business plan, and I will send you a copy of an opening budget spreadsheet to kind of start plugging in and figuring these numbers out for you. And you can do that at CEO@barryvanover.com. So do that. Now, in that budget, you're going to take consideration of the cost of build out. So the reason I can't give you a certain amount is because I don't know how big this facility is you're thinking about. What's the square footage of that facility? Which the bigger it is, the more expensive it's going to be to build out. Is your landlord paying for the build out or portions of the build out for you, or are you totally responsible for even putting up the drywall, right? So I don't know those variables either. But I can tell you some things that you do need to take in consideration past build out is what kind of furnishings are you going to use? And that's part of your opening budget. You know, if you're going to use puzzle mats versus Fuji mats, then those are two separate costs, right? And they're going to have two separate looks and feels and benefits. So that alone, what kind of signage are you going to use? Are you going to use nice lit neon marquee type awesome signage, or are you going to put up a piece of square plastic that's been painted on, or a piece of wood that's been painted on? So your signage is important, and it is such a difference in cost. So what type of chairs and what type of desk and all of these types of things have variable cost. Also, don't forget about the intangible cost. You're going to have deposits on utilities and internet and phone services. You're going to have business license that you have to pay to the city or the state or the county. You're going to have insurance that you have to get and pay for because you want to be insured when you're going into business. So what kind of deposit is the landlord going to require? First and last month, or just a 1 month security deposit? All those types of things. And then you're going to want to make sure that you are accounting for pre-marketing your facility and marketing it for the next 3 to 6 months. So do you have money in the bank to market minimum 3 months after you open, and money to pre-market for the grand opening? And then also things like rent. Or do you have money in the bank for rent for at least 3 months once your rent starts, maybe even 6 months? And then, of course, payroll. If you're the only employee, how much money do you need to keep your family going over what period of time, right? Or is it going to be you and another person? You're going to have 2 staff members, so to speak, and you got to be able to pay them until the school gets to the break-even point and beyond to making money. Now, what I can give you is in Premier Martial Arts, it's common for our owners and us to open what we call an S1X model. It's a 1,200 square feet boutique schools in amazing, amazing neighborhoods and shopping centers. And that 1,200 square feet school, doing it totally all out, I can tell you for us, we recommend the owners have somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 in the bank before and know who's going to work at it before they even think about opening up a school. So I didn't answer your question, but I'd answered it best that we possibly could, I think.
All right, that's it for this week's questions.
Okay, marketing tip of the week is brought to you by martialartsmarketing.com. They have some cool summer camp theme posters if you want to theme out your summer camps. If you go to the website, you can see those different themes, and you can order the posters and things like that from them, plus all kinds of other marketing materials. But the tip is school talk time is right now. We're in the middle of March. No, don't get me wrong. You could do school talks the last week of school and have a mass intro that following Saturday. The problem is the percentage of kids that will show up and the percentage of kids that will sign up, because the families are all focused on summer and vacations. They don't want to start any new activity until after their summer vacation's over because they know they're going away. But if you get in there and you get in the schools and you do your school talks now in March, knowing that school's not going to end down here in the South until mid-May and up in the North until after Memorial Day in June, now's the time, because you got enough time where families aren't totally focused on vacation and they will go ahead and start a new activity, but you got to do it now. So that's my marketing tip to you guys. Now, we had a question of the week.
Question of the week. Last week we had question of the week, which I think was something like the biggest challenge for you in your martial arts school. So we have an equally serious question for this week.
Okay.
This week we would like to know, in our comments section, you can of course put in your responses. I would like to know who you think would win in the following fight: 1984 Karate Kid's Daniel LaRusso versus 2010's Karate Kid Dre Parker. So would it be the crane kick, or I think like a butterfly kick or something? I don't know. I saw that one a couple years ago with my kids.
Jackie Chan trained Dre Parker.
That's true. And Miyagi was Well,
Miyagi was
he was from what was the other show?
Okinawa.
Yeah, right. But he was really from what was the show?
Happy Days. He was the cooking,
Happy Days, right?
He was the cooking Happy Days. So
Jackie Chan's kind of got
But
a.
Daniel LaRusso, he still looks good. He's like 85 years old.
He does look good for
What's
85.
his real name? What's the actor's real name?
Ralph
Macchio. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like 85, and he looks like he's like 40.
Who do you have?
Daniel LaRusso's a little scrappy dude, man.
Yeah.
Little mean-ass scrappy
Yeah.
kid from the streets,
Yeah.
broken home, single mom.
That's true.
He's probably a pretty tough
I'm
dude.
gonna go with Dre Parker because he had the better coach, I think, the better instructor.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Well, what do you guys think? We hope to
Answer
see
your
in the
question
comments.
at whatever the platform you use this. You watch this show, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on YouTube, or email us, at ceo@barryvanover.com and give us your opinions, and we'll do a little tally and see what the martial arts industry thinks about that fight, that situation. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much.